Filmmaker and author Justine Bateman joins me now. I mean, it's funny, but it's sad, Justine. These priorities are out of whack. What's going on?
There really are. I think, Jesse, it's because, way back when, 2016, they saw that if they could just be contrarian to whatever Trump was doing, that got a lot of attention from Democratic voters. And Trump seems like a different Trump now. His cabinet is a different kind of cabinet. I mean, things are moving forward. Things like DOGE, looking at the finances of America has been something we've long wanted. And now the Democrats seem to still be doing this contrarian position. And really, I think they should just get back to what is their purpose to begin with? Their purpose is to serve the American public. And so they should do that job and try and work with the current president and try and get things done. And then in doing that, they can see what's missing and what their party can offer instead. You know what I mean? This is what politics used to be like, from my perspective.
You're saying that Trump changed and the Democrats didn't. And what they need to do is go back to being public servants. But that requires listening, Justine. I don't even know if they know what the public wants. Do they have to go to like a little listening tour?
Yeah,
I mean, I would suggest a listening tour.
Yeah, I mean, a part of that listening tour is looking at the polls and looking how people voted. You can't just decide you're going to do the opposite. Because when one side is doing something reasonable, then your opposite is just being insane. I don't see how that's, it's like we're watching the Super Bowl and there's one team that's playing a game properly and the other team has decided they're going to get up in the stands and like rend their garments and, I don't do crazy things. And it's like, no, just be a regular football team, come down on the field and do a proper service to the Super Bowl.
That's what the Chiefs could have done against the Eagles, but alas, Justine, some things Trump said is sticking with me. He said that the Democrats are at risk of becoming a minor party. And this has happened before when the party just stops serving the interests of the American people. Do you believe that the party is really at risk of sidelining itself for a decade?
Well, I don't think a country with only one party is a great idea. I mean, I wish we had more than, in a very serious, equal level, in a level way, 3 or 4 parties. But, there are parties in the past that have just disappeared, like the Whigs. So it is certainly possible. And I think there's more and more former Democrats saying, this is just too crazy. I don't understand what they stand for. And really, most people, they're the extremes on the right, they're extremes on the left. And most of the population is right in the middle and just wants common sense, wants the holes filled in the road, wants, proper education for the kids, wants, law and order, and every state in the nation doged. These are reasonable things. And I think, whoever wants to run on that ticket has a very good chance of getting our attention.
Is that person Michelle Obama? Because, the first thing you do after you drop a podcast is that you run for office. Or am I just crazy?
Well, now that you brought that up, a lot of us in California would like to know who's paying for This Is Gavin Newsom. And you notice that Gavin Newsom's podcast isn't titled Let's Talk About California or The California Governor Talks to You. No, it's This Is Gavin Newsom, as if this is your life and it's all going to be about him. Anyway, I know we weren't talking about him, but yeah, this is the politicians in California are a good example. Like you have the treehouse, for example. This is a good example of what people really don't want. And I think a lot of people in California are in the habit of voting for people with a D next to their name. And I think these voters are more and more seeing that they need to vote for the candidate and someone with competency and someone who actually cares about you. And I think that is going to be, the trend in politics. Fingers crossed.
I hope so. And if Gavin Newsom's watching, we know he likes Fox. let's get that treehouse back up. Save the treehouse. Don't doge it, Gavin.
Save the treehouse and take away this draconian limit on what people can charge for rentals.
Yeah, maybe less podcast, more governing.